Clock on the wall says it is 7:01, so we will start. This is the July the 14th Board of Zoning Appeals Commission meeting for the city of Greenbrier. We are having Smoky Barn record this for later putting on the TV, so call the roll.
Citizens comments first.
Huh?
There's no citizens comments, so.
Right.
Okay. Bass,
Here.
Higdon,
Here.
Love, absent, Masario,
Here.
Moran,
Here.
Strout, absent, Mayor Dawson.
Here.
All right. Entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. All right. Approval of the minutes of the June the 9th Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. Chair will entertain a motion on that.
Motion.
You have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded for approval of the minutes for the June the 9th, 2020 Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. Call the roll, please.
Bass,
Yes.
Mayor Dawson,
Yes.
Higdon,
Yes.
Love, absent, Masario,
Yes.
Moran,
Yes.
Strout, absent.
All right. No old business on the agenda. New business is a variance request for rear setback for 2083 Highway 41 South, K&S Market. Have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Do we have any discussion?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions because I didn't quite understand this. If I'm looking at this correctly, I think it was a few years ago, we approved a storage building for him. And there's a proposed addition, and then there's a proposed 10 by 16. So if we allow this, are we approving both?
According to what we have here from Alex, what he's wanting to do is to put an extension on a refrigerator, a walk-in refrigerator, I guess.
Well, it says proposed addition and proposed 10 by 16 building. And in his request, it said, extra storage space and/or create an extra. So I was a little confused by what he's really wanting to do.
I beg your pardon, I think I've got the wrong one. I think you're exactly right. It's my understanding that where that building's sitting right now is on railroad property. This is one right at Industrial in 41.
No, sir.
It's not, just the
This is
market.
This is the old Shell station.
Oh, okay.
Next to the grocery
Down
store.
there, right,
Okay,
south.
that is the walk-in refrigeration.
Yes. The way I interpreted it was he was going to either expand his cooler and have more cooler space to allow him to have more storage inside. If he couldn't expand the cooler, then he was going to do a storage building on the outside. So I don't know if this is for approval of both. My understanding is one or the other, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Well, doesn't he need to address, is he gonna want to do one or the other? I mean, we can't pick and choose.
I would think he would need to do one or the other.
That's what I think.
And it doesn't meet the requirement either.
No, it's too close on the backside.
Right.
Yeah, that's too big a variance.
It's right, abuts the residential, so.
Yeah, it goes up against that little trailer park right there. I know there's a fence there, because I've looked at it, but still, it's not within the codes.
Based on what I'm seeing in his proposed site plan, if he goes with the proposed 10 by 16 building, it will actually be further away from the existing property line than his current storage building that is already in place, that sits closer.
Yeah, I see that on the map.
As it is, it would appear that his cooler already is within the extent of his existing setback as well. So it's not like he would be extending his envelope, his current envelope of building.
Right.
He would be already kind of conforming to what he has already. So it wouldn't be a further encroachment, as I interpret it, based on what I'm viewing here on the site plan.
Well, but he says and/or, and this says a proposed addition and then a proposed 10 by 16 building, so I don't quite understand that.
Are we able to, this is a procedural question, due to the fact that Alex is out, unfortunately, he probably would be able to provide us with some more clarity on the issue. Are we able to postpone this to next month's meeting in order to get some further information so we can vote appropriately rather
I
than?
don't see any reason why we couldn't table it. That would, we could pick it up the next meeting if it's tabled till then. You want to make that a motion?
I would like to make that motion then.
Have a second? Call the roll, clerk. This is a motion to table this until the next meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
For further information.
Yeah, for clarity from Alex West.
Bass,
Yes.
Mayor Dawson,
Yes.
Higdon,
Yes.
Love, absent, Masario,
Yes.
Moran,
Yes.
Strout, absent.
All right, we've tabled this request, this variance application till the next meeting of the Planning and Zoning Appeals. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn the Board of Zoning Appeals Commission meeting.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All right, motion made and second. Call the roll.
Higdon,
Yes.
Love, absent, Masario,
Yes.
Moran,
Yes.
Strout, absent, Bass,
Yes.
Mayor Dawson.
Yes.
Okay, that meeting closed, we'll move on to the regular Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for July the 14th. As there's no citizens here, there's of course no comments. We all seem to be in order, so call the roll for the July the 14th regular meeting, Planning and Zoning.
Bass,
Here.
Mayor Dawson,
Here.
Higdon, Love, absent, Masario,
Here.
Moran,
Here.
Strout, absent.
Okay. Need a motion for the adoption of the agenda, which I think y'all had in your package.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Let's call the roll.
Bass,
Yes.
Mayor Dawson,
Yes.
Higdon,
Yes.
Love, absent, Masario,
Yes.
Moran,
Yes.
Strout, absent.
Okay, we need approval of the minutes for the the June 9th meeting of the regular Planning and Zoning meeting. We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
I think we have to vote.
You have to vote.
We have to vote?
You have to
Okay,
vote,
sorry.
yes.
All right, call the roll.
Higdon,
Yes.
Love, absent, Masario,
Yes.
Moran,
Yes.
Strout, absent, Bass,
Yes.
Mayor Dawson.
Yes.
We also have to approve the minutes for the June 29th special call meeting. Do you have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Call the roll.
Higdon,
Yes.
Love, absent, Masario,
Yes.
Moran,
Yes.
Strout, absent, Bass,
Yes.
Mayor Dawson.
Yes.
Okay, there's no old business on the agenda. Item number 8, new business, request for approval of accessory structure at 2341 Highway 41 South. And that is the, up at industrial, I think it's behind that transmission shop.
It is the transmission shop.
Yeah, well, from what I understand, that building's currently on railroad property. I don't know whether that's true or not.
I would think it is where it's located. Look,
Yeah.
If it's not, it's awfully close.
It looks like to me that it is, but, and knowing what I know about the railroad, he'll never get approval for that. They'll make him move it, so.
Well, according to this, he didn't get the permit or approval or anything, so.
Need a motion on this particular item.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
What business is this?
It's that transmission shop right there, in
Okay.
industrial,
Okay.
It's
right
now,
there on the corner.
yeah, it's now a mechanic shop.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not, I don't think it's transmission shop,
No.
it's just a
Yeah.
mechanic shop.
Okay.
You have a colored map in the back of your brochure, indicates which piece of property it is, but just me looking at it, it still looks like it's on railroad property.
My motion was to approve in hopes of a second so we could discuss it.
Yeah.
If that makes anybody feel any better about
Second,
second.
second, I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion?
Yes. So, as we understand, this building has been placed on site without permit and/or permission from the city. I see that kind of as an issue, obviously. I'm not too sure what the legalities are in reference to the placement of that building in relationship to the railroad property. I don't see why the city couldn't work with the owner on placing that building in a better location on his site. But that would be entirely up to the city and the owner. But I think it needs to be within his setbacks and easements and obviously not on the railroad's property.
When I went by and looked at it, it appeared to me that, not knowing, of course, where the railroad property line is, that if he were to move the building closer to his building, he might be off a railroad property, but I don't know where the property line is. So, you know, I think that's something he needs to work out with the planning and zoning staff. And, of course, I don't think the railroad's gonna let him, as I said earlier, gonna put the building on their property. But I think if he wants to move it over closer and the property line all agrees, then that's fine. But where it's sitting right now, but it's probably not gonna work. He's gonna have to move it. And it'd be up to the commission as to whether approve it being on the property or not.
The one positive thing about this, in my mind, is that obviously mechanic shops are gonna have, he's trying to use it for storage, so I mean, it's nice that he wants to try to store whatever it is he's gonna store in a building that we won't have to suffer looking at, you know, whatever it is he's storing. So there's, you know, in my mind, the silver lining where I think the city it might be in the city's best interest to help him in any way they can, within reason, to accommodate his storage needs. But as it is, I'm not crazy about where that building is, and I'm not crazy about allowing him to go outside of his easement to place that building.
Well, they're not following the rules either, so.
Correct, yeah, that's a bigger
That's
issue
the
for
big
me.
issue, yeah.
But I think it's worth, like I said, us discussing.
Well, I think it, much like the item on the other agenda, that maybe we need to wait and let him get with Alex and work out the particulars of the building location, then he can come back to us and we can approve or disapprove. Is that,
Well, I think based on what this variance is, I'm inclined to vote no.
yeah,
So that way, he then is forced to either have the building removed or work with the city to get it relocated on his site.
in a proper location?
Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, I would vote no on this.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve this variance.
Call for the question.
Call the roll.
Higdon,
Yes.
Love absent, Masario,
No.
Moran,
No.
Strout absent, Bass,
No,
Mayor Dawson.
No.
Okay, motion's defeated. This gentleman will have to get with Mr. West when he's back at work and get the particulars worked out as to where this building needs to go, so. Bring us down to item 8B, discussion and possible action concerning ordinance 20-09. This item is sponsored by Jonathan Masario.
I'd like to make a motion to approve, as a matter of record, ordinance 2009, so we can have some discussion.
Motion's been made to approve. Do we have a second?
second.
Motion's made and been seconded. Discussion.
I would like to read a statement that I've prepared. The revitalization of any town is a very delicate chore. It must be fostered and encouraged and handled in a very thoughtful way. Our city is facing a potential turning point that I feel it will be essential to the successful revitalization of our CA Town Center Commercial District. In the 1980s, facing the decline of its city center, the town where I grew up made the decision to embrace and foster responsible growth. One of the key ways the city did this was through encouraging mixed-use developments. These mixed-use developments, being on the edge between commercial properties and residential properties, provided a natural transition between the two zoning districts. This provided customers for the businesses in these mixed-use developments, and in turn, these residents were offered attractive restaurants, businesses to spend money, thereby generating local tax revenue. Carol Fagg's example of the Franklin Farm Shopping Center being empty and unutilized is an example of why we need mixed-use developments. Proper placement of mixed-use developments can even help economy of places like Franklin Farm Shopping Center. We need more mixed use and not less. Limiting these mixed-use developments to exclude residential components will do exactly the opposite of what Carol Fagg is trying to do. A mixed-use development done properly can provide attractive places to live, work, and shop. Removing the residential use from the CA district will also prohibit the expansion of our current district to other areas abutting the district. This would limit the potential positive growth opportunities for investors, developers, and the city. The city is currently revising its design review manual, and if approved, it will bring a better, more prescriptive approach for developers and the city to follow in order to foster a more visually appealing developments for years to come. So I'd like to urge you guys to, for a matter of record, vote to not approve this particular ordinance.
Any other discussion?
To not approve.
Correct.
Call the roll. Motion's made and seconded. We need to vote.
Higdon,
What exactly, was this a discussion, or what are we?
Well,
What?
he asked for discussion, but
Nobody
We're
said,
actually voting on the motion to not approve it.
well, to approve or not
to
approve?
send it to the
Well,
Board of Mayor.
John,
It's already been.
it's already been to the mayor
It's already
and
been.
Board of Aldermen. This is for us to be on record as a planning and zoning board of whether or not we support or do not support this particular ordinance.
Exactly.
My motion is obviously to vote to approve. My motion is made in the affirmative. My letter and comments are specifically to hopefully help you guys realize that approving that motion would be a mistake for the city. So in layman's terms, I'm hoping, just like the last motion we made, that you guys do not approve the motion in the affirmative. Does that make sense? Any other questions? I can make a motion to not approve if that's easier, but then you're motioning yes or saying you approve something that we're not approving. So therefore,
still apples and apples.
it's easier to make the motion in the affirmative and then have it die in the vote, basically have it fail,
I understand that.
which was why I made the motion.
Any other questions posed to Jonathan? Any further discussion?
Why are you against it?
Yeah.
Because I think that the residential component in any downtown core is very, very important to allow for people to live within that environment, an urban environment. And I know we're not, obviously Nashville, we're not, in that environment, but our city has, a lot of appeal right now. And I think what Carol is trying to accomplish is eliminate an apartment complex type residential component within that district, because she's afraid that the materials and aesthetic of that development won't be pleasing. So my point is that that use is crucial to a successful downtown redevelopment. And I think that we can handle her concerns, as all of our concerns, by the revision of our design review manual, which we are working on, which I believe you all will get to see next month. And with us being a very judicious, so to speak, board as we approve projects. If we allow the removal of that use, it may change current projects that maybe, or current developers that may be interested in doing business with the city of Greenbrier. So by allowing us to have that residential component, you bring a very different environment and atmosphere that would bolster the economy, because you'd have people wanting to live in a more town center type development, being able to walk to a shop or a restaurant. It would also probably help us in certain aspects of getting some of those things that we all want, sidewalks, nice street lamps, continuation of some of the work that's currently happening within that district. So I really feel like by removing that use, it's going to really kind of hurt us. I think it's kind of like cutting your nose off to spite your face. So I just think, based on my past experience, it's going to be a mistake for the city to go ahead and approve that ordinance to remove that use. I think it's a bad idea.
I might tell you, there were two lengthy citizens' comments at the board meeting, both from developer-type people, saying they, don't want to do away with that, so.
And they're also wanting, one of those comments was in reference to creating an overlay district to make more, make design and development a little bit more strict and a little bit more regulated. However, based on the conversations that I've had with Alex, we feel that by revising our design manual, we can accomplish the same thing with a lot less paperwork And with it being more appealing to developers, a lot of times those overlay districts can be very constricting and can really, in some cases, hurt growth. So at the end of the day, our design review manual is about 10 years old. We could revise that and really tailor it towards a better project. And I think developers will welcome that because it's going to increase values and make it more appealing. So I think it helps us. And I think it also answers a lot of the concerns that the citizens have had about some projects, some of the materials used, and so on and so forth. So,
And that's what those two developers were
yes, yeah.
saying.
Well, what concerns me is growth is coming. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yes.
And if this is subsequently approved by the city council, we're kind of limited in ourselves in the aspect of future growth.
Yes.
Because people, like you said, the developers or whatever, they're going to walk away from it. They're going to say, no, I'm not fighting that battle. And I think it would be a mistake to limit ourselves and not embrace with the retention of control of what is built. I mean, we'll always have that control over what's going to be built, and it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. And as an example, if I was to own the property directly across the street from City Hall, which is just on the edge of the CA district, I could very easily, if I wanted to, or not easily, but I could request a change of my zoning and try to be added to that CA district, which would make it more appealing for me to either develop it in that vein or sell it to someone who will develop it. So by removing that use, we're basically saying that any of the residential areas that abut our current town center, we can't expand it. So we're literally limiting ourselves, we're stagnating ourselves with the ability for us to grow the type of developments and things that are happening very well right now in our community.
Any further discussion? Yeah, does everybody understand?
I still don't understand why we really need residential property up above commercial. That's what one of the developers is wanting to do, and I think that's part of this problem. What's wrong with a commercial building without the residential?
Well, nothing's wrong with it, but having the ability to have a project that has a multi-use function can sometimes be more economically viable for a developer.
Well, of course, for the developer. Yeah.
Right. But it also provides residents an opportunity to live in an environment that might be more suited to them.
But if we don't go this route, are we gonna end up with all these businesses with apartments up over the top of them? That's a real possibility.
Well, everything has to go through our board for approval and then on to the mayor and aldermen. So if the planning and zoning board reviews a project and doesn't approve of that project based on its merits, if it's not in compliance or we don't like the aesthetics of it, we can simply, by the power of our board, just say, no, we don't want it to go on to the mayor and aldermen. So we still, as a board, have the ability to selectively approve projects that we don't feel conform to where the city is headed or don't approve of what the outcome is.
But if we approve this, the whatever the number of it is, then that's not an issue anyway. It wouldn't even come here, right? It wouldn't be an option. If we approve the one for the Carroll Fake.
If it goes
If
to,
it doesn't come here to start with then,
well,
right?
in this case, correct. Our vote simply is just putting, is for a matter of record, okay? Based on the previous meeting with the mayor and alderman, there was a comment made about it didn't come in front of our board, and I felt it was necessary for us to, as our, basically our board, as the experts of how we advise the city, I think it's important that we at least get our vote as a part of the record of whether or not we support this or not.
Any other discussion? Motion's been made and seconded. Madam Clerk?
Higdon,
No.
Love absent, Masario,
No.
Moran,
No.
Strout absent, Bass,
No.
Mayor Dawson.
No.
All right. That being the last item on our agenda for tonight, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.